And we live. Team Don't Ever Stop. Don't Ever Stop collecting Tuesdays. Here tonight, D.E.S. RE fan. You can catch me on the Instagram, the Twitter, all that stuff. We're here we unbox stuff. We talk news. We try and have a good time when it's me and the homies in. But tonight we have a special guest. Very excited for this one. If you're not familiar with the Big Bad Beetle Bros podcast or the new Stronger Than Before a Power Rangers Zeo podcast, which has been very good. It's about 8 episodes in. I'm enjoying it. I have Cam from those podcasts. Thank you, Cam, for being here.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me. It's
please. It's my pleasure.
It's been a while since I've done anything other than just sitting down with TJ and recording Stronger Than Before. So it's fun to jump in and chat about stuff.
Yeah. Are you? Are there a lot of like Toku podcast guys? I mean, like stream.
Yeah.
Let me say streaming guys. I know there's a lot of podcasts, but like, are people on YouTube doing it?
Yeah. So there's kind of just like any other like fandom that's larger. There's kind of like subsets. So there's a handful of folks that like specifically do podcasts, and some of that bleeds over. They either post episodes on YouTube or whatever. And that's kind of what we did for a large chunk of it. And then there's guys. There's Achilles is real big on YouTube. I know he does quite a few streams. And he's fairly new to the Toku fandom, like only a few years in. So he gives kind of a fresh take on stuff, which is fun. And he's just a great like online personality. And then Squall Charleston is the big personality in the fandom, has been for quite a while. He's actually a Kansas City native like myself. So we've gotten together and we've done some stuff. He popped into Beetle Bros for a few different things.
Let's Talk Toku, right? You were on that one?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I popped into to that one. I was the other than Steve Sakai, who's another guy. He doesn't do a lot of Toku anymore, but he's big on YouTube. He's getting into Gundam now. Oh, okay. Which is a sweet spot for me. I'm kind of like pushing him down the rabbit hole a little bit further.
Oh, you're into Gundam too?
Recently, I've been into the model kits forever. But I'm just now finally getting into the anime.
Oh, there's so many.
Mostly because of Witch from Mercury. I really enjoyed that first season of that show, and then I went back, and now I'm into Build Divers, and kind of working my way backwards a little bit. But
now, which episode? I can't find the Let's Talk Toku that you were on YouTube.
Let me pull my backlog up.
It was Toku Shout or the app. What's the app?
I think
Shout TV. Because I seen it on Tokushoutsu on TV, like not on TV, but on the app,
on the Pluto,
streaming live. Like, because I used to watch that when the pandemic happened. We had just gotten rid of cable, and we had like, okay, we just need Netflix. We just we found this app Pluto TV, and you can watch Judge Judy all day and CSI if you want. And then I found on there Tokushoutsu, and that just really rebooted me into watching.
It was a really
I never really watched Super Sentai. That was the most Super Sentai I ever watched, was starting from that channel.
Yeah. It was a fun, I mean, it's still a fun series to jump into. It is, let's see. Boop, boop, boom. Yeah. You can hear my cat screaming in the background. I apologize.
Well, that's all right. Yeah, I've watched. I mean, I'm like halfway through so many shows now. I'm trying to watch. So like Zoo Ranger, I'm halfway through. Gridman is what I'm working on right now. Trying to finish Gridman. The new Kamen Rider, Black Sun. I started that. I didn't finish that. There's like so many. I'm halfway through. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. Oh, come on. What am I typing?
Well, I just said it's all right. Just later if you
I found it. It's episode 23.
Oh, you know what? That might not be on YouTube because I don't think they go that deep on the YouTube channel.
It's on, but they don't have it on their like list of.
Oh, it's not in the playlist.
Yeah, it's not in the playlist.
Okay.
So you have to like search I mean, if you look up Let's Talk Toku Beetleborgs, it'll pop up. But it's Metal Heroes meets Frankenbeans is the subtitle. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that was fun, and then
that's how I found
I recorded a
your
separate
podcast.
thing. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's the one. We were talking earlier before going live about. I was always surprised the number of people who have like actually, like, for one, enjoyed our podcast and like anything that we would make,
Mm-hmm.
but also just like even found the podcast because
Mm-hmm.
until um, specifically until we joined Project Louder, which was like a year into doing the
Yeah.
podcast, we didn't do any kind of promotion. I think I did one paid promotion post on Facebook, and that's how TJ, TJ Bowser, the owner of Project Louder, found us and reached out to us to bring us into the fold. And then I don't even remember what I was talking to Squall about something. We didn't know that we both lived in the same city yet.
Wow.
And we were in some conversation on probably Twitter or something else, and I brought up that I was doing Beetle Bros, and he listened to a couple episodes and was like, "Man, you gotta like come on." I think we had just interviewed Gabe Torres, the director of 25 of the episodes, and he was like, "Man, yeah, you got to come in, like, we'll figure out what time zone you're in." I was like, "Oh, I'm in Kansas City, so I'm just." It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Because I think that's how that starts on that episode is like, well, we'll Skype it. And then you like just run in the room, I think.
Yeah, that was a fun thing. That was I've talked about it a little bit on, well, I think I talked about it on Beetle Bros. I've talked about it on Stronger Before maybe too, but we recorded that twice, that entire episode, except for the opening bit. And I'm not going to hurt anybody's feelings by talking about it, but
ooh, we're getting juicy tonight. Oh shit.
Only ever so slightly.
Oh, and feel free to drop F-bombs over here. We get busy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I meant to ask with the if this was trying to stay PG or
the kids are in bed at this point, so let's go.
Okay, cool. We went up and we recorded, and I at the time and still now get into the habit of kind of going into Beetle Bros mode, and we didn't really have much of a filter, and we had no qualms talking about how
you guys got in there.
And, yeah, we get into the weeds, and we were typically a bit inebriated when we would go on a handful of episodes, especially depending on how the episode turned out to be, would kind of change how sober we were by the time we were recording. But so I kind of went into this like, okay, I'm coming in like this is just me talking about Beetleborgs like I do any other day. I enjoy the show. It's something I know a lot about, but the show's like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's kind of shit. I don't really like Haim Saban or Shuki Levy as people. I don't love them as showrunners or producers for kind of the way that they handled the property and specifically their employees throughout their entire run of really anything, but specifically Power Rangers and their shows. And so I just kind of didn't pull any punches, and Squall kind of rolled with it, and we made jokes about it and stuff. And he edited it and shot the episode over to his superiors over at a Shout Factory, and they were like, or at Shout TV, and they were like, we can't use this.
Ooh, wow.
You can't be this, hostile about the property that you're talking about, which I understand.
Yeah, they don't want.
It's not the vibe they were going for.
They're like, we want to make DVDs over here.
Yeah, right. Like, like the Beetleborgs DVDs are already out of print. Let's not perpetually ruin that chance of it coming back. So we reshot it, and I was a little kinder, but it gave me a chance to actually come back. I had the here, I'll grab it. The art book, the big series guide,
awesome
style guide. I got to bring that up and show that, and the prop comic and a couple other things, and kind of talk a little bit more in depth about what we had learned by talking to Gabe Torres. And then we interviewed Rick Schick, who was a VFX artist. After
that was my favorite. Yeah,
so much. That was probably the best. My favorite interview that we did, we still keep in touch with Rick, and it's real fun. And we're hoping to bring him on to Stronger Than Before, because he did quite a bit of work on Zeo too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's what's so. I mean, you can rewatch Power Rangers now, and maybe you don't. Some of it isn't as watchable now, but as an adult, I'm really interested in how do they even make this work. Yeah, and I'm also halfway through rewatching MMPR. I'm on like season 2, whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It
gets rough, man.
I've been watching it. Well, season 2, it's not as much fun as season 1, I would say so far. But I'm watching it with my little girl. She's 3.
Oh, that helps.
And that's been, a lot of fun. I mean, we get through an episode and then she's ready to go do something else. But I've been really enjoying watching that. And it's just cool to see how they made it work. Especially that time when they were still doing some Zoo Ranger mixed with the Zords from Die Ranger. It's like, it was really neat how they really made that kind of cut together. It's just impressive that they were able to do it. What up? We got Brandon in the chat. What up, Brandon? That's the homie.
How's it going, man? Yeah, when they pull in the Zoo2 footage, the kind of like combination stuff that they were pulling off, that's like a really, it's kind of like the most Saban kind of thing to do. Like it's a really, we kind of
they're trying to keep like the suits, but they gotta do new monsters. So.
Yeah, like it's that level of like innovation. That I was talking about, like it's a little bit of a double-edged sword because there's not really a reason in my mind as someone who is like people should be paid relatively fairly and all that kind of stuff. It's hard to like look at these shows and go like, man, they had no budget. These people were paid like pennies to the dollar.
Yeah.
A lot of the props and stuff, those departments were getting like barely paid. They all had to be, a lot of the voice actors and stuff were using pseudonyms because the show was non-union and they don't want to burn their their union agreements just to do the show, but it's a little bit extra money and like but at the same time it's like, damn, like this show was raking in cash with toy sales and stuff. Like
plus they weren't making those toy molds. That show was already made.
Right. They're repackaging more than just the footage, right? They're repackaging the toys and most of the toys and a bunch of other stuff. And so it's,
I guess they had to
kind
do
of
something with the flip heads. They had to change the flip heads. Or if they even, I don't even know if they had Zoo Ranger flip heads, but.
See, that's one of the things that I'm not well versed in is like the divide in the Bandai America versus Bandai Japan toys. I know that like a lot of the like Evil Aliens, the either Rita's monsters or Zeds and later seasons going on. A lot of those were American toys.
Oh, okay.
Or American molds, which is why a lot of them are like they only articulate at the arms and maybe the neck. Like I have a Finster figure floating around, and it's like barely looks like Finster if you kind of squint and hold him. A few feet away.
They did their best back then. They don't have that awesome Lightning Collection Finster.
Right.
Or the upcoming Super 7 Finster.
And I pre-ordered the Super 7. Oh, yes. I'm a huge Finster guy. He's my favorite. Oh, cool.
I hope Super 7, and they're going to do it. If you're watching, Kyle Wadaga, he knows he's going to make a Monster-matic at some point. He's definitely going to do it. He has to.
Someone has 3D modeled and sells both the model and the print on Etsy. And I've almost, because I've got my Creality 3D printer set up now, and I've almost printed it a few different times. Almost bought it to print it a few different times, and I don't have the shelf room yet. I'm still rearranging stuff, but I
feel like we're with Rita coming with the telescope, and if you got a Monster-matic, and maybe if you get a pendulum in the background, you could easily make an Rita's lair there, have a really nice diorama. I'm excited for that.
Yeah, no, you could really kill it with like a corner shelf and like a couple. Yeah, a little pendulum on the wall.
A nice, a Detolf shelf with the moon. What do they call it? Rita's Castle? What do they call it?
Bandora Castle, because it's got Bandora on the front from Zeo Ranger, because that's Rita's name and in the Japanese version. Yeah.
Yeah, man, the toys are awesome. I mean, I got a few right here.
Yeah.
A little bit of the magic of what we do here. Dad I buy too much shit. I do have a Super 7 putty here. I bought Wave 1, but Wave 1 hasn't shipped to me yet. But I did get some extra putties, so I have my putties so far.
There you go. We're getting so spoiled on like army builder stuff.
Oh yeah,
for Power Rangers. Like
I got the Tengas.
I need to get. Oh, I need to get a cog. They've been popping up on sale. Yes. I know. The only 2 Lightning Collection figures I have, the only one I've bought was Finster, and then I won Zeo Red.
Oh, okay.
In a Twitter contest. Just coincidentally, right before we started recording Stronger Than Before, and now I'm like, okay, I've got to snag at least a cog to go with Zeo Red because I'm gonna get a putty to go with Finster. Yeah,
I love the Blue Centurion just came out. He's super good. Mm-hmm. He was a little bit. He wasn't the regular price. He was a deluxe figure, but he's pretty dope. Comes with a lot of accessories. It's like an all new sculpt. So
it's such a clean sculpt too. Like
it's great.
There's been a lot of QC problems with the Lightning Collection. I think mostly with the Ranger, like there's
a lot of like people getting wrong hands and shit like that. I've seen.
Yeah, and that's part of why I've been hesitant to try to buy more. Also, I'm just not collecting current stuff as much as I was. But yeah, I've been hesitant because of the QC, and then Finster is like the most beautiful figure I've bought in the last like 10 years of anything. And the
Super 7 when it's gonna have that cloth robe and stuff, that's gonna be cool.
I'm working on a Finster cosplay for Power Morphicon for next year.
Dope.
Maybe for a Comic-Con here in KC this year too, if I get enough of it done. But specifically for Power Morphicon in 24.
Do you go to Power Morphicon often?
I've never been.
Oh, okay. I've never been. It's in California. I'm not going.
Yeah. Yeah, this is you're out east, right?
Yeah, I'm in Jersey. So the biggest toy or whatever convention I'll probably hit is maybe Legion's Con, which is a big Four Horsemen convention where Four Horsemen, I mean, they're one of the biggest sculptors in the game.
Right.
But they have their own convention once a year, and I didn't get to go this year because I was going to go, but it was right near my daughter being born, so skipped this year. So maybe this year, we'll see. Or in Columbus, Ohio, they do PowerCon now, the He-Man convention, which is
see something about that.
My wife's sister lives in Columbus, so. And the last year, it was on my birthday, PowerCon. I said, "Oh, are we going to Ohio to visit your sister for my birthday?" Or maybe one of these years it'll work out.
Yeah, that's what you got to combine it with a couple other things to justify the travel. That's what we're. Actually, I don't even know if it timed it because let's see, Power Morphicon was last year, and then it'll be next year. So it didn't time out right because it was in 2021. We went to California on our big group road trip.
Hillhurst?
And that's when we went and found Hillhurst, and Zoom Comics and the some of the other Charterville outdoor areas, and that was really fun. If we had timed it right to where, if we had reversed what trips we did, because last year we went out east, we went to New York and DC, and then year before that we went to California. If we had swapped those, probably could have swung it to go spend a day at Power Morphicon. Maybe. But now I'm like, Squall and I are kind of talking about maybe carpooling and making the trip, or just my wife and I going out and flying and just like spending a week out there or something like that. She's got friends and family out in California, so we can kind of like swing it to where like, all right, if she doesn't want to be at the con with me, she can go hang out with friends, and I can hang out with some folks over at the con. My big thing with like traveling for cons, if I don't travel with other people that are going, is I've got to know that people that I want to hang out with are going to be there.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like not enough of an extrovert to want to like walk around and meet people and talk.
Yeah.
Or like be in cosplay and walk around interacting with folks. Like, so I've got to know that like Squall or some of the Indie Toku folks or something like that are going to be out there. Because like, if like Immortal Red Fox, if any of their crew ends up out there, or Art School Dropouts, they're out of Jersey actually.
Okay.
I don't know if you've heard of them. They're an indie. They don't just do Toku, but mostly they are a fight choreography
Oh,
a group of martial artists and filmmakers out of I think they're still over in Jersey.
cool.
And they do a lot of Power Ranger stuff, and they also just do a lot of fun fight choreography stuff and some how-tos and tutorials and stuff. But they do a lot of work for Immortal Red Fox and some other groups.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in my indie toku project, Godpunk. They've
Yep.
gotten their hands on a little bit for some stuff that's coming up with Immortal Red Fox later this year. That'll be fun.
Congrats.
But yeah, thank you. Yeah. That's Beetle Bros is kind of like the main focus for like 3 years, and in the middle of that, I released my first comic, Godpunk issue 0.
Mm-hmm.
And since we stopped recording, I've sat down and gotten to get back to work on script writing and stuff, and trying to like get more comics done and get kind of more of that side interest nailed down. But
Are you writing on a couple other comics too, though? Or is
Yeah,
that the only one? There's a couple, right?
There's some like crossover books that I've kind of more like an editing role. I wouldn't want to say that I was like a writer or a co-author on.
Okay.
That have been kind of fun, and Godpunk's been included in a few things like that. There's a Broken Realities comic, or Broken Realities Comics is a indie publishing company that I've done some work with. Godpunk is attached to them, but it's not. I'm not getting published through them. But I'm lending the Godpunk character for a crossover event that they're working on, and helping them with some of that stuff, or writing my character into their stuff. And Immortal Red Fox has some stuff that we're working on with a handful of other creators that he just released a trailer on YouTube. If you just look up Immortal Red Fox on YouTube.
I saw that with your character.
Yeah,
Godpunk
got a little sneak in there. I shipped the suit down. I think he was down in Texas at the time, I think, but shipped the suit down to him for a month or so, like early last year, late 21 maybe. And they shot some stuff, and we're starting to get stuff actually like posted. I can actually talk about it, outside of like group chats and stuff, which has been really fun this year. But yeah.
So what did they like film a special or something and with your character, and that'll should be out this year or something?
Yeah, so Immortal Red Fox has been going for like 5 years or so, I think.
Yeah, that's where the name is familiar now, because I think you guys posted it the other day, the trailer.
Yeah.
Featuring your guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been Matt Palmer is the creator of Immortal Red Fox, and he's been making indie toku. He's got a manga that's got I think 4 volumes now, 3 or 4 volumes now. Wow. They're on Amazon, a few other places. And then that's kind of an American shonen style manga. And then does live action shorts, occasionally in all Japanese dub with subtitles, and sometimes in English dub. And really just like a huge love letter to like tokusatsu as a genre, and specifically the kind of local hero trope that they have in Japan, where kind of like different precincts and towns have mascots, and companies in those towns will have mascots that are kind of like Tokuhiro adjacent, and they'll do shorts, and stage shows are a big deal. So he's gone over to Japan, I think a couple times, and taken the character with him.
Wow. And
done some fun stuff. And a few years ago, I reached out, and I had my Godpunk idea, and he kind of mentored me through the process, the creative process, and really pushed me to make the suit.
Wow.
And then I got the suit done, and he was like, we're doing this big thing. It's going to be a big indie hero Tyson, big indie hero war. And I'm trying to get as many people as are willing to either send out suits or record in front of a green screen or fly out, like whatever we can do. I don't know what the number is. It's more than a dozen. I think it's probably close to 20 heroes from around the world. I mean, there's folks from Indonesia, from Japan, from France, from Europe, or from England, and then South America, Central America, and the U.S., the continental U.S., Canada, and United States. And it's just like this really fun thing to watch come together of a bunch of creatives from all over and all different backgrounds and everything, with different ideas, putting something out, and He just wrapped editing, I think, on the first. It's gonna be a 2-part movie, basically,
Cool.
and I think he just wrapped editing on the first part, right about the time he put the trailer out.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's been uh, really. It's been hard to not talk about more, especially as we started Stronger Than Before.
Yeah.
Right around the time that he was like, "Okay, this year, stuff's starting to come out. We're gonna have the trailer ready. We're gonna start, wrapping on post on the first part and finishing up some final shots for the second part, and then going into post." And it's like, all right, we're a couple of us kind of chomping at the bit, like, all right, man, we gotta start talking about. We gotta tell people about this. This is so exciting.
Yeah. That's wild. There's so much going on in the Toku world with like, obviously there's so many shows. You get Kamen Rider, Ultraman, and all this different stuff that people are into, and then there's so much indie stuff going on, and it's crazy.
It's fun, man. It's a fun like I hesitate to say fandom because I feel like it's more like a community, because like we all have like different chunks that we're kind of either pulling from or contributing to. And like every other community or niche or anything, there's you get your problems and your squabbles and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it's not uncommon. None of us are immune to it. I get into disagreements with people probably more than I should, but it happens. Oddly enough, never around Beetleborgs. I don't think I've ever had any. I don't think I've ever had anybody be upset with any of our takes on Beetleborgs or anything. I think it's always usually either indie stuff, which I just have like, it's more close to home, I guess, that like, because I consider myself an indie creator, I just take offense a little more easily. And then it'll be something like somebody will say something stupid about Power Rangers or something, and I'll make a snide remark because I don't have a lot of self-control on Twitter sometimes, but it happens.
You be telling people what it is though.
It happens, man. Ryan, my co-host from Beetle Bros, we got into a huge habit. I thought it was really fun. It ended up getting us kicked off of a bunch of subreddits and stuff, but it was worth it in my opinion. We made a bunch of memes, basically saying different versions of Beetleborgs is the superior Saban property. And we would just, every time someone would talk about like what Power Rangers season is the best, or what Power Ranger is the best Ranger, things like that, or people would post tier list videos or whatever, we would just share those memes on every subreddit and tweet thread and Instagram post, whatever we could get our hands, whatever we would see it pop up, we'd share those memes, just a light trolling. And man, people would get mad. That's the most mad I ever had anybody get, is that they would, I got the Beetle Bros account got kicked off of the r/Power Rangers on Reddit. They got kicked off of r/Super Sentai on Reddit. Like I got those accounts got kicked off of those subreddits, and then I got just a ton of so much flack on Twitter for just kind of like poking the hornet's nest a little bit, just with those. And that was really the only time we ever really had any any slight conflict popping up, other than I guess there was a guy tried to run some kind of crypto coin scam using Beetleborgs as the
yes,
as a like base of it.
Yeah.
And I went down a huge rabbit hole, spent way too much time and effort. Like
you definitely investigated.
I went way too hard, and I found like they had shared a video of like, hey, I'm playing the game, I'm testing the game that we're working on for this, and it was like the VR Troopers Super Nintendo game.
Yep.
And I called him out.
Sounds awfully similar to what Logan Paul was trying to do.
Yes, exactly. And I was like, no, like I'm not. It's one thing to see this stuff happening with like Logan Paul, these big internet personalities. Like, this is my space. Like this.
Yeah.
Don't bring this stuff into Beetleborgs. Like this is my incredibly niche corner of an already niche genre. Like, no, you're not gonna do this in my house. And just like went through and like, all right, you're not making this, you're not making that. this photo's from here, this photo's from this,
Mm-hmm.
and the second, and I have like 3 Twitter accounts because I have like Godpunk and Beetle Bros and my personal account, and from one, he caught on to one account, so I went to the other account, started asking questions about like, hey, how do I invest and all this, and just trying to like milk information out. And the second he caught on, it was just he went straight to death threats, and I'm sure it was like a kid probably. Like I'm not gonna dox the guy. Like I never, tried to find his address or any of that kind of stuff. But it was like the second he got called out, he went to death threats, and I was like, oh, well, that's new. I've not had that happen.
Yeah.
And his account was gone in like 5 minutes, right? Like that's a real quick way to get banned. At least it was. I don't know if it still is on Twitter, but
Right.
a couple years ago, that was a real quick way to get banned, was just to immediately respond with, "I will kill you." Like,
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's an escalation I wasn't prepared for.
Yeah. You stopped his cash flow.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know how many people he was going to get.
I'm sure you'll get some people.
You get a few. Yeah, you'd get a few. And that's, I think I took it more personally because I know so many people in the Beetleborgs fandom that I was like, I consider them friends, and like a lot of them I consider kind of like a second family to a degree. And it's like, if I had heard that like anybody that we were, not just our listeners, but like if somebody had been taken in and like you sent money that way and tried to invest or something, like I would have just felt like shit. Like it.
Yeah. When you see those, I see people posting all the time now, like YouTubers that I follow, and they're like, if you're getting messages from accounts that are clearly not mine telling you want a prize, and they're asking you the wrong kind of questions, don't give these people your information, please. Don't, people are getting taken like every day on these, just from, I would never send someone certain information. It's crazy to think.
Yeah, it's just it sucks, and it happens in every like little subgroup, and especially just on the internet. It's just constantly happening. People's accounts get hacked or they get cloned or whatever. My buddy Ryan, he gets emails to his personal email that he's had for years with my dad's name on it.
Wow.
Like my dad's first name on the, like, addressed like dear Mr. Ryan.
Wow.
And then it says from my dad, and it's obviously not his email. And but it's been happening for years.
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't know how they made that connection. Like, it's some email chain from somewhere got connected somewhere. I'm sure my dad emailed Ryan at some point, or vice versa.
Something was in something that got compromised or leaked at some point, and people are just grabbing them and running scripts against things. Yeah.
And it's wild. And like, some folks are better at catching that kind of stuff than others, and
Yahoo's not good at it. If you've got Yahoo Mail, they can't handle spam for shit anymore.
He has a Yahoo email address, and it catches nothing.
Somewhere around 2020, the Yahoo Mail just took a complete shit. Like, the spam filter started spamming things, the spam filter started grabbing things it shouldn't grab, and then you started getting more spam than ever. I don't know. It was really crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know he had a couple times where it was like, it would block his bank was emailing him stuff, like statements and stuff. And it was like, okay, that's going to the spam filter. But meanwhile, Mr. Lee's fake emails are making it through every other week.
Yeah.
It's like, what is happening here? It's like, no, Mr. Lee 1257934 is not a real email address.
Or these ones where it's like Amazon customer service is emailing you. You got to reset your password. Click this link.
Yep.
How can they not stop those ones? That's got to be
it's
scrutiny to the fullest.
Man. Yeah.
But back to Beetleborgs. So you did the Beetleborgs pod. You finished that. That's crazy that you were able to finish going through every episode of Beetleborgs. But now you're doing Zeo. Why did you go from Beetleborgs to Zeo? Were you a big Zeo fan, or?
So a little bit. I'm trying to think of like what really the chain. So when we finished Beetle Bros, we talked about initially we were just gonna like kind of take a break, and then Nick and Ryan and I were gonna jump back in and start another rewatch show. We talked about doing. We've got like a backlog of movies and shows that we talked about doing as bonus episodes that we never got to, and then we talked about doing B Fighter because
Yes.
Juku B Fighter and B Fighter Kabuto are
really wanna
mostly
watch that.
subbed now.
Yeah.
So we could do that. And we were like, maybe we'll jump into that, but that's another, few years of content. That's, 50 some episodes a season, 2 seasons. It's going to take for us 3 to 4 years to get through at our rate. And we were just like slogged. 3 years of going through Beetleborgs was a lot.
Yeah.
But TJ and I wanted to do a show together, and because we hadn't really, TJ had been on a couple Beetle Bros stuff. I had been on some of the other podcasts that TJ does on Project Louder, like Gore and More and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And but we had never done something just the two of us. And he is a huge Zeo fan. That's like his Zeo and Turbo are his two favorite seasons of Power Rangers. I know. I never meet anybody that likes Turbo as much as
I like
TJ
Turbo.
does.
And actually, Zeo is more forgettable to me. I don't know why. I don't remember as much as Zeo. I was definitely watching it as a kid because I watched all the way until Lost Galaxy. I think Lost Galaxy was after In Space.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So I definitely watched through Lost Galaxy. But Zeo's the one I'm like the most not remembering much about it. I don't know why, but
it's totally understandable because really nothing happens except for the Gold Ranger arc, and Tommy leaving. Or no, that's Turbo. So no, nothing really happens.
Yeah, it's
there's no big power transfer other than Jason coming back for the Gold Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
So it's largely forgettable, but
TJ, maybe because it was it only one calendar year, like it aired everything in 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it is like it's 40 something episodes, and they just went for 1 year, and that's kind of it. And then it goes into Turbo, and you've got another team swap with new characters coming in, and of course Justin, which was give or take either a blessing or a curse.
Yeah, unique.
On who you listen to. Yeah, but memorable to say the least.
Yeah.
And
Car
Zeo
Ranger
really
is
have
good.
that.
I've watched a few episodes of Car Ranger. It's so funny.
Yes. And I know Power Rangers wasn't there at the time, but if they had leaned into the kind of parody-esque vibe that Car Rangers uses, I think it would have really killed it. Because Signal Man in Car Rangers is one of my favorite tertiary Sentai characters. Because he's just comedy gold.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I really enjoy it.
And when they did there's the company that's doing their own what is it, Battle for the Grid, like with the Lord Draken.
Yeah,
it's like people doing their own.
Let's see, there's a couple. There's Power Rangers
shows.
Unworthy.
Unworthy, that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's the big one.
And he fought him in Unworthy. That was awesome.
Yeah, there's Power Rangers Unworthy, and then there's another one, and I always forget their name. It'll come to me an hour after we're done recording. But
I mean, there's all kinds of JDF doing this and that type stuff, but that Unworthy is really good.
They're specifically I think that their first episode, which premiered at Power Morphicon, probably 8 years ago now or something like that. It's been a while. Was a huge kicking off point for fan Power Ranger projects. And I always hesitate out of personal bias. It's not anything against creators. I hesitate to call Power Ranger fan projects in the same category as Indie Toku. They totally are for all intents and purposes.
As far as filming and budget or whatever, sure. It's
it's the same kind of process. It's just not a unique IP,
right,
so you can't really market it the same. We can't call up the folks that work on Unworthy or any of those Power Ranger fan projects to be in an indie hero thing because it's going to get demonetized and all sorts of nonsense from Hasbro or whoever else wants to throw their hat in the ring.
Oh yeah,
so
sure. Hasbro's. I mean, who knows what Hasbro's plans are right now? They're on that struggle bus, but who knows?
You know, man, I'm confident. And I don't know if it's because I dislike Saban so much that I'm like, it cannot be worse.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, as like a Transformers fan for a long time, and I know that like it's not incredibly the same, but it's in the same kind of
Hasbro's let Transformers have waves.
Yeah.
So Power Rangers is going to have waves.
Yeah, they've there's
Magic is going to have waves. Magic and D&D is having waves.
Yeah.
From what I hear, I don't know anything about it, but I hear things are crazy with that as well.
Oh yeah,
a lot of craziness around Hasbro and how they like to do business. I don't know.
Yeah, that's therein lies the problem of owning so many IPs. Is you're going to be bombarded with every bit of drama and such that hits every single one of those creative teams.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have the right people in place to make some of that happen, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And
but I mean, they're not scared to let people make Power Rangers stuff, other companies. So that's really cool.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, they do Super 7 does Transformers and all that stuff. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like Hasbro's a lot better with their licensing of stuff and like allowing licensed products than Saban was. Especially, and I know other people will disagree. A lot of people in the Power Rangers community will complain about the inundation of Mighty Morphin merchandise.
If that's what makes the money, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
What are you going to do?
Like, man, like
Optimus Prime sells fucking toys.
Exactly. That is my go-to comparison. G1 Transformers, Gen 1 Pokemon, the original G.I. Joe, like those things are what sell the bigger numbers. And so they're always going to have more merch. But like with Transformers, I mean, yeah, you get, the Gen 1 stuff or the G1 stuff sells like hotcakes, but like we're getting a ton of Beast Wars stuff lately.
I love Beast Wars. Beast Wars is my go-to with Transformers.
Yeah, same. That's that's the one that I grew up, that I was the little kid when that was popping up. So
I love Beast Wars. That's such a great story. Oh my
god. It's perfect.
And they're going to fuck it up with this movie. Don't worry. They're going to fuck it up. Don't worry.
I'm highly confident because Michael Bay's not attached, but that doesn't mean anything.
They won't. You won't even know it's Cheetor for half the movie. Don't worry. They won't say his name or some shit.
My one little string of hope, and I know this will not. The second I say it, it won't happen. I've just about finished reading 13 years of the IDW Transformers comics in about 2 months.
Wow.
Because I went down a rabbit hole. I had never read them except for. I have the trade paperbacks of a few, specifically, I think the Dinobot Spotlight books.
Cool.
And
can you just get those, or is that something eBay or online download?
Or nefarious means.
Sure.
Because the trade paperbacks are very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the 13 years worth of comics, even on like digital copies, gets expensive very quickly.
Yeah.
So, so I'm not...
we'll leave it at that. That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, it was like the only way to read.
Snag those books.
Yeah, I used to read a lot of Ultimate Series Marvel. Like when the Ultimate Series was out, I was reading all of that.
Yeah.
Because it was just like that age where I was like, oh, I was buying some, like especially the Marvel Zombies type stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, there's just so much stuff. There's only so much money we can blow, and now I'm blowing it on action figures and too much action.
Right.
Too many imports. It's all that.
Yeah, and that's I really did like I genuinely went and like went on eBay, Amazon, all these places, and like saved in my shopping cart like every volume of the Transformers, the IDW comics, all the way up to like Lost Light and Unicron, like the last bit of the mainline IDW continuity. Until they rebooted in 2019, and I mean it was like almost $1,000 worth of comics, more if I wanted them not used.
Right.
And I was just like, no, there's no way, because like by the time I buy one and it comes in, I'll read it in a week, and I'll want to buy another one.
Yes,
I'm just not gonna, I'm gonna burn through them too quick. So I've been reading them digitally on my laptop, and I love what they took it really from like Transformers Cybertron, the Unicron trilogy cartoon,
Mm-hmm.
but the colony worlds of Cybertron, like Velocitron and Eucharis and stuff, and having the Beast Transformers come from a colony world of Eucharis, I think is a huge potential to use the Beast Wars characters in other media like the movie and not bastardize the original Beast Wars storyline.
Yeah.
Because that's how IDW did it. They ended up doing a Beast Wars comic retelling that was more true to the cartoon.
Okay.
That wasn't tied to it was a standalone book, but in the main IDW comics, the Beast formers, all the Beast Transformers are like the spawn of Onyx Prime, and they're all on their own planet on Eucharis. And it's really fun because you get to have characters like Tigatron and Airazor and Cheetor, and they're still themselves. They still behave like they did in the show. They don't necessarily have the same origins. They don't have the same relationships with other characters.
Right.
But it's, they're there, and it makes enough sense to like kind of, bat an eye and move on.
Mm-hmm.
And
they did a good job on
the
movie. The recent Netflix animated thing where they that was pretty good. So
yeah, I thought so too. A lot of people don't like a lot of stuff, but
I would have loved to have the same voice actors, but that's okay.
Right, and that's one of the. I think that's actually a place where Transformers has done a pretty good job. I mean, they've tried to keep Peter Cullen as much as they can for Prime stuff. When they can't, they pull in, like David Kaye, who's been Prime and Megatron in a couple different seasons.
Okay.
Which is, it's fun. I got to meet him at TFCon. He was a Beast Wars Megatron.
Okay.
And then I think he was Prime in Transformers Animated. And then maybe something else like Cyberverse or something like that.
Okay.
But I think Transformers does a pretty good job of like kind of switching up the casting, but then still having kind of a backlog because they've had so many generations of Transformers now that they can go, all right, well, we can't get Peter Cullen, or like, eventually he's going to be, he's going to retire.
Yeah.
Hopefully retirement is what happens, but he's not going to be able to be a voice actor forever.
Mm-mm.
And, but they have, there's been other, the guy who voiced Armada Prime maybe can come back and be Prime for a show or something. And that's kind of fun. Whereas I think that's something Power Rangers struggles with is to do cameos. You've got to bring back these actors who a lot of them are not acting anymore and haven't been acting for 30 years.
Right.
And I'm real excited for the 30th anniversary. And it looks like it's going to be really good, especially for Zeo fans, because it's pretty much the cast of Zeo.
Right. Yeah.
Coming back. And I think it's going to be a really great time. But I would not blame Hasbro if they made a decision to do a reboot and or some kind of continuity break, because it's got to be exhausting to try to like appease the fan want for cameos for these actors that are not, a lot of them are working actors.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's got to be a tricky situation to tie yourself into. And some of them have been burnt by Saban or David Yost coming back as Billy for the 30th is a huge thing. And I'm sure a big part of that is that it's not Saban anymore.
Right.
It's a new creative team.
Was Saban involved as much in when he sold it to Disney, and then
sold it to Disney before Wild Force?
Right. Was he involved in the even during Disney though?
No.
Okay.
Completely detached.
But then they sold it back to Saban.
Yeah.
Or he bought it back or whatever.
He bought it back after Saban because it was, or after Saban, after RPM, because it was.
And he sold it to Hasbro. What a genius!
Flop. And then he sold it again, and but it's kind of one of those properties that I don't think a lot of, like, Disney didn't know what to do with Power Rangers. It's not really in line with other Disney properties. It had this existing back catalog. It had a formula of using the Japanese footage, so you've got to kind of keep a chunk of the creative team on board because the process is so unique compared to regular TV production. And then you're going to move you're gonna move on and get you're gonna sell it around, but you got to keep a chunk of the team on because nobody else knows how to like write a script to make this work.
Right.
And now we're getting to the point where it's like, oh, the people working on the show grew up with the show, and like Transformers kind of hit that point 20 years ago, and Power Rangers is hitting that point now where it's like,
right.
yeah, you know, folks who were more like your age than my age, right? Like in their 30s, who are like working professionals in film,
Ouch!
television.
Don't put it like that. Ouch! It hurt me.
90s kids, right? Like folks who grew up in the 90s, as opposed to me, who was born in the 90s,
right?
Are like, not that, I mean, there are people my age working in television too, but you know, there are folks in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and stuff working in television who grew up with Power Rangers and similar properties, who are now like going to be working on these shows, and especially in the comics. I mean, the Boom comics have been killing it.
Yeah. That I haven't read them, but I know people are loving what they've done. I mean, I've played the game. The game is dope. The Battle for the Grid game, fighting game. Yeah.
The comics are great. I have the last year, no, 6 months or so, maybe not even a year, not that long. I dropped off of keeping up with the Power Rangers, the mainline Power Ranger comics, but the Ninja Turtles versus Power Ranger comics, the first run was great, and then the second run,
the toys are really good.
Now, oh, it's so good.
I picked up the Godzilla crossed Power Rangers.
Oh, that was so good too.
I read the first issue, but that was it. I have them all. I just haven't read them.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Compared to the first crossover they did was with the Justice League.
Oh.
And I really didn't enjoy that book.
Okay.
It felt disjointed. And I don't know if it's because of like trying to juggle the team dynamics of 6 Power Rangers and 5 or 6 Justice League members.
Did it have Superman in it?
It did.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Superman sucks, you know. He's too powerful.
I love Superman.
I'm not a big Superman guy.
I love Clark Kent, but I'm also a Kansas boy. So.
Oh. For me, it's all Marvel. Besides Batman. If it wasn't for Batman, I think DC.
See, that's my wife. My wife's a huge Batman fan. I have always been a Marvel kid, but something about growing up in Kansas City, I grew up in a rural town outside of Kansas City that felt like Smallville.
Okay.
There's actually a town about half an hour away that 1 week a year changes their name, quote unquote, to Smallville, Kansas.
Oh, okay, cool.
And does a big Smallville Comic-Con.
That is cool.
Has a bunch of actors from the show come out, a bunch of comic creators come out, and it's just, I don't know, it's always had that like little spot to me of like, okay, we kind of have, you know, they call it Metropolis, but I'm going to say it's Kansas City. I know, you know, sure, it's probably actually New York, but whatever. Like,
okay,
yeah, you know, we've got a Smallville, Kansas here, and I think more so after the last few years of constantly getting dark versions of Superman. You get Zack Snyder's Superman; he's a little broodier. You get Homelander. You get what's the other one? What's Invincible? You know, you get a handful of these like intentional like darker versions of a Superman character, and not that there's nothing wrong with those. They're fun and they subvert expectations and stuff. But like, man, like stuff sucks, and sometimes I just want to read about a big blue Boy Scout that's just like good for the sake of being good. And you know, it's just like a nice wholesome book, and yeah, he's OP and always is going to make it out in the end unless it's specifically a book about him not making it out in the end. And even
that's
then,
any hero, right? They all pretty much win in their stories.
And like, I think, I've always been a Marvel guy, specifically like Spider-Man, Daredevil, Hawkeye, those kind of characters.
Spider-Man.
And like, cause I relate to Spider-Man. I think a bunch of people relate to, you know, Peter Parker, right? Like he's, you know, this kind of, you know, he's he's struggling,
Yeah.
and
And what makes
he's
the
really
great
not.
heroes is when they have those great villains. So Spider-Man having
Yes,
so many great villains, Batman has so many great villains.
yes.
A lot of
Superman
other
definitely
heroes.
part, I think.
Say it
Like
again.
a lot of Superman's great villains are just another Kryptonian. It's like, ah, that's not
Right,
as
right,
fun.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Now I've been to Overland Park, Kansas. Are you near that? Is that?
I am.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
spitting distance.
Okay, so that's where I've been there. I had a friend
Yeah.
who was from there. We went out there one summer and we hit all the skate parks. They had a
Ah,
lot of
yeah,
skate parks out there. A lot of great skate parks.
yeah, yeah. Overland Park's a fun little area. I worked at a museum a little further into Kansas, about 2 hours. I mean, Kansas City proper now, but uh, I worked at a museum in Kansas, and I would spend a lot of time in Overland Park because it was kind of the midway
Okay.
between my part of town and the kind of Wyandotte County where I was working. And yeah, it's the Kansas side of Kansas City is pretty sparse compared to the Missouri side.
Yeah. Isn't
Um,
some roads? It's like one side of the street's Kansas, the other side's Missouri.
yep, yeah.
Yeah.
The part of town I live in right now, I'm actually like the next block over is State Line Road,
Wow.
and so like half the time I go get groceries or something, I'm crossing state line
Okay.
to do it. I got to be careful about now because Missouri's got legal weed and Kansas doesn't. So we got a
Ooh.
dispensary right off a state line on the Missouri side, and I'm sure Highway Patrol's just like stationed right at every
Right.
turn off. And so
Oh yeah.
everybody's got to be careful wherever if you're running back in. But
Wow.
but also we can buy booze in Missouri on Sundays and you can't in Kansas. So
The whole state?
yep,
Wow.
yeah, Missouri. I think it's like you can't sell till like noon or 10 o'clock or something. I don't know, it's been years since I worked at a gas station or anything
Wow.
around here, but yeah, we used to have because people will tailgate for the Chiefs games and stuff, so they'll or Royals, whichever one, and they would come over from Kansas and like wait because we could sell in Missouri at like I think 9 or 10 in the morning
Okay.
on a Sunday. We'd like stop Saturday night at like 2 a.m. and start back up at like 9 or 10 in the morning,
Hmm.
maybe a little bit later. And so right before like everybody's heading to the stadiums,
Okay.
and so they'd come over from the Kansas side, buy the alcohol, and head back over because you can't buy it on Sundays.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a little holdover from the some of the older laws. I know Utah is still like that a whole bunch.
Oh, I believe that. Here in Jersey, I mean, in South Jersey, they don't have grocery stores don't sell alcohol. I think in North Jersey, some places do, but here,
Only liquor stores.
yeah, you can only go to
Yeah,
liquor store to get any kind of beer. I think
yeah,
we might be able to
that's
get
how
some wines,
Kansas
but for the most
too,
part,
or at least
nothing.
the east side of Kansas where I'm hanging out in. Yeah, because when I was working at gas stations, it was a chain, so we'd pop from store to store whenever we were needed somewhere else, and you'd go to one store and they've got a fully stocked, fully stocked coolers and liquor behind the counter and everything, and then you go to another store and it's like they only have low alcohol level beer and
Mm,
that's it, and it's like they just like 2 years ago I think started carrying like 8% and above,
wow.
which is like cool. You can
Yeah.
sell Guinness now. Congrats.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy how different these states are, and it's neat to be able to connect to people nowadays, and it's so cool to have the video chats now, and people are doing these streams with like these toy people. I watch a lot of toy streams.
Hmm.
I mean, I watch some Toku stuff, but mainly it's like collectibles, action figures, Godzilla stuff. I'm into a lot of that for
Yeah.
like content wise, like what you see, and it's just cool. Like so many neat people, so many smart people, and people like you. I like listening to what you do because you just have so much knowledge on these damn shows. It's like
Whether I want it or
it's
not.
it's almost like you've watched Zeo a million times, and so much info.
It's I was having a conversation with a buddy of mine, Jared, Xenofauna on Instagram and stuff. He's works in film down in the Atlanta area, and he somebody had posted on I think Facebook originally they were confused or they were trying to suss something out of there's a monster in season 1 of Beetleborgs in episode 41 or 42 called Charterville Charlie, and Swamp Scumoid. He's got two names in the episode. And it was actually a character Ryan made a merch design that's on our TeePublic shop of Swamp Scumoid. But there's the trivia pages on like the IMDb and the fan wikis and stuff all said that it's not from B Fighter. It's an original American-made suit, and it started. It was made for a movie called Kraa the Sea Monster, Kraa the Sea Monster. Just like this sea level. I think Full Moon Productions made it.
Oh shit!
A real low budget movie. And
they used to make dope shit in the 90s.
Right? Yeah, it's it's Puppet Master guys, right?
Yeah.
Like it's some good stuff in their catalog. And I remember 2-3 years ago or whatever, finding that factoid and mentioning it in the episode and just kind of breezing past it and not digging too deep. And then this guy was like, I don't think these are the same suits. I know a bunch of fan wikis and stuff say this, but they don't look that similar. I just watched Kraa and remembered this factoid, and I really don't think these are the same suit. And my buddy, being in specifically in VFX, was like, there's no way these are the same suit, but I know the guy who will be able to find out.
Wow.
And he like put me down this rabbit hole, and I was like, all right, fine. So I dug as deep as I could. I found the Total Fabrications was the company that made the suit for Kraa, the Sea Monster movie, and a bunch of other stuff. Turns out they also made a few monster suits for the Turbo Power Rangers movie.
Oh.
The like Stegosaur pod monsters on the ship scene.
Okay.
They made those. And the rumor, or one of the, I think, factoids on the trivia site said that the connection was made because on Total Fabrications website they have a picture of Swamp Scumoid, but it says Kraa the Sea Monster under it. So they were like, okay, they must have made this suit and then used it for Kraa and for Scumoid. The suits look very different. The heads are only a little bit similar. And so I kind of dug through. I had to go into the Wayback Machine to get into their website because their company, I guess, went under or shut down or whatever happened. Website's down, social media's not active. So I went in and found the most recent thing I could find, and sure enough, they had Kraa, but they also had Charterville Charlie as a separate entry on their catalog of creatures, and they made a waterproof Gillman suit for Swamp Scumoid for Beetleborgs, and then they made the Kraa was a full suit with an animatronic head, and I was like, all right, well, Swamp Scumoid didn't have an animatronic head, so they probably had molds of the head from Kraa and got the freelance gig to make the monster suit for Beetleborgs. Either made the waterproof suit or had it laying around and used it. Used some elements from the Kraa head, and then used that for Saban, and then that suit ended up getting used. The Swamp Scumoid suit got used at a theme park, and then later on made an appearance on the Jim Carrey show.
Wow, I never heard of that.
Yeah, it was like in a dream sequence or something. I don't think I've not seen the footage, but supposedly it really happened.
Okay.
And then after that suit disappeared. And then in 2016, the original Kraa, the Sea Monster suit, sold at auction. But it's the original suit. It's a different bodysuit, the original big teeth head, not the kid-friendly Swamp Scumoid version. And it turns out Total Fabrication was owned by Kenneth J. Hall, who was a renowned, specifically monster maker, foam crafter, made a bunch of stuff for Power Rangers, Beetleborgs, Mystic Knights of Tir-Na-Nog, and a handful of other Saban shows, and Full Moon Productions, and all freelance. So most of all that stuff he kept or his company kept, and then they would reuse when they got new gigs. So they would get a different job, or they'd get hired at a theme a restaurant or an amusement park, or a show like the Drew Carey show that's just like a one-time. We need a scary sea monster. Okay, well, we've got the suit.
The Drew Carey show. Okay, now
Drew Carey show. Sorry, I was probably saying the Jim Carrey show.
You said Jim Carrey. I was like, oh, I
yeah.
I don't even know there's a Jim Carrey show. Now we got to get down the rabbit hole of Jim Carrey sketch show.
Too many Carreys.
Drew Carey show. Okay, yeah.
Yes,
I can see
the Drew Carey show. Yeah, so they they apparently had it, and it was in Kenneth's back catalog. And once I figured out it was him, it
That
made
makes
sense.
sense.
Um, and it because just late last year, a bunch of Saban monster props went up for sale on eBay, including a Furbus head from Masked Rider, the Kamen Rider Black adaptation that flopped, and a Mums bust. It was like a paint test bust. It wasn't a wearable head.
Cool.
It was like the torso up of Mums, fully painted, and then a unpainted prosthetic of Frankenbean's upper part of his head. That was like just rotted rubber and looked like garbage.
Yeah.
But somebody, I cannot remember who, but a Toku YouTuber, I think maybe a few, teamed up and bought the Furbus head for like $1,000.
Wow.
They like pooled some funds and got it, and I assume they're gonna review it or make content with it or something. I know
Do
part
some
of
weird OnlyFans stuff with it.
Right. Hey, to each their own. Whatever pays the bills. And I on one hand, it's gonna get preserved, I'm sure, by the fans, so that's good. The Mums. I don't know if the Frankenbeans head sold. The Mums bust sold, but the guy wanted like $700 or something for it. I had multiple people ask me if I would buy it, and there in no way, shape, or form could I justify the cost.
Yeah.
I tried to talk him down, and most
even as a museum guy.
Yeah. Yeah. People were like, "Oh yeah, Cam, he's the Beetleborgs guy and the museum guy."
Yeah.
He definitely needs the mummy bust to preserve. And I was like, yeah, because that's really what my wife wants in the house, is just this like rotting 90s mummy bust sitting in a glass case in the living room. That's not that she would love it too, but
so yeah, some things
all
just
that
need
stuff,
a story.
Yes. And all that stuff turned out to be from Kenneth J. Hall's private storage unit that was getting sold off. So it made perfect sense that he would have made a suit for Beetleborgs at the time. So it
was a suit not from Beef Fighter.
Yeah. Okay. There were a few in the first season that were originals not from Beef Fighter. The Swamp Scumoid was one, and then Amphead is the other one that I always think of. Amphead, my personal favorite monster from any Toku ever. And only appeared in Beetleborgs, and I think only in 2 or 3 episodes.
Oh yeah. Did they get a lot of suits shipped over from
yes,
from Beef Fighter to?
And I think a lot of them they would send back, and then some of them was in the agreement that they would keep them.
Wow.
When we talked to Gabe, specifically the way that it would work is they would basically get a shipment of an episode's worth of stuff. So if there was a new weapon, that would be in the box. If there was a new monster, that would be in the box. A new ranger, that would be in the box. And then they would get like dailies. They'd get like the VHS tapes and film reels from that episode. And then the editors would go through and pull out the fight footage and stuff that they could use. And then they would start crafting a narrative using the monster suit that they were given, the whatever toy they've got to sell that episode, and try to craft the narrative as much as they can to kind of meet in the middle of the Japanese footage and the what they can do with the American story. And it's really like kind of a puzzle solving skill to be able to piece it together. And it at least talking to Gabe, and then I know what I've heard from interviews done from other writers who have worked on Power Rangers later on, it's a wholly unique experience to writing, directing traditional television or film. Yeah, and I think it's a really it's a skill that I don't think is properly utilized with the Spawn properties, just because they're never really given the proper budget or time or anything to really make it work. And granted, if they were, they would probably be doing way more original stuff, like they're presumably going to be doing more and more of with Hasbro.
Right. Yeah.
But
It's neat, man. I mean, it's crazy what they were able to do. I mean, if you look at how they I mean, I've just finished recently watching through season 1. You know, like I said, started season 2 at MMPR, and it's neat that even when they're reusing the same, like how many times does the Dragon Zord fuck up the city when he didn't do it that many times in the Sentai when the Dragon Zord was bad. And then it's Goldar and Scorpina getting big and kind of fighting the same scenes over and over, or it's the Dragon Zord getting turned evil again to fight the Megazord again, and they're just reusing footage that they didn't use, or using footage they haven't used from the It's so neat to like sometimes how they chop these stories together. It's crazy.
And it's kind of fun, and TJ and I have noticed this with Zeo, of kind of like trying to piece together, like without watching the episode of O Ranger that the footage was pulled from, trying to piece together like, okay, what was the narrative there that they were trying to match? Because sometimes it's pretty 1-to-1, and sometimes it's like, okay, they really struggled. Like either there were some pretty strict cultural differences that you just couldn't really pattern too well to American audiences, and sometimes it's like it was either just that bonkers, or it used characters or weapons or Zords or something that hadn't been introduced yet on the American version, like that kind of thing, and you know, kind of making a game of it and being able to watch and go like, oh yeah, okay, I can see like they did this because they didn't have the warrior wheel yet, and they did this because oh yeah, that's definitely a a yokai themed monster, and that wouldn't have made sense if they did this, so they changed it, made it this or whatever. Beetleborgs got away with it real easily by making every monster come out of a comic book, so it didn't matter how wonky they were. You can just say it's a weird monster in a comic book. But when it's a monster that Finster's making, or that the Machine Empire has, or is making or something, you've got to get a little bit more creative with how you come up with them. I think that's one thing that Beetleborgs really nailed, is similar to how Mighty Morphin had Finster, where it doesn't matter how weird the monster is, Finster's forming it out of clay. It could be anything. It doesn't need to match a theme or anything for that matter.
And only like half of the monsters were really like that. So half of them were kind of just came from somewhere, like the Black Knight or whatever. And half of them were just clay monsters that Finster made that week. Yeah.
And that's a fun way of doing it. Whereas I think one of the not failures, but one of the downsides, story wise, at least a little bit, not for, it works for a kid's show, but in later seasons, specifically something like Ninja Storm, or even the more recent stuff like Dino Fury, where it's like, most of the monsters are like bounty hunters or evil monsters from somewhere that were just living creatures that wandered in and took a job. And it's like, all right, well, why is this pots and pan monster out in space, hunting bounties? That doesn't make as much sense as Lord Zed zapped a kitchen. Pots and pan monster. Not that it's a kid's show, so you don't really need to logic your way out of it, but it does, I think, give the writing team some leeway to play with when you can just go, you don't need to explain where the monster came from. He came out of the comic.
Yeah, Trini's not doing so good in cooking class this week, huh? Let me zap these pots and pans or whatever.
Yeah, that.
Oh, here's Mr. Tickle Sneezer.
Oh God,
it's my stuffed animal.
Yeah,
or whatever the deal. My childhood animal. Oh, we'll turn that into. That's how this monster comes. It's Trini's little thing, and I gotta save it. Whatever.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's crazy.
It is fun. Yeah, it makes it. It made it interesting. I think that was one of the things that really kept us going in Beetleborgs was that there was always something. There's always something. We knew that there was an arc to look forward to. There was building up to Shadowborg was a huge thing, and then building up to season 2, those kind of things were just
so dope, man.
Yeah, the Astro Borgs.
They just had awesome suits. There's something about these suits, and I have the SHF Black Beetle here.
So. Oh man, someday I'm gonna at least pull the trigger on Blue.
Blue's the most expensive one, I think.
I know.
He floats around $90.
Yeah.
He's the only one I don't have, and like I was saying before, like I just didn't pull the trigger yet. Just trying to find a good time as well, like budget wise, because there's so much other bullshit coming out. But when the yen was weak, that's when I picked up this guy, and I picked up the 2-pack of red and green. And
I snagged a bunch of stuff on Mondo.
Oh yeah, that's the go-to. That's the place. I get emails like every week, blues in stock. I'm like, ooh.
Right. Yeah, I snagged.
And sometimes what I'll do is, here's a high-level tip. If anybody out there, I get some people that watch this that are, they import shit, Godzilla shit, whatever. So if you're using a proxy service like Zen Market, or I like to use D.E.S.
or something.
Yeah, but I didn't really care for Buy. A couple times I used it just because.
I don't like the interface, but that's just
it is getting better, especially working directly with the Godzilla store now. Yeah. And but I didn't like that they didn't I had 2 boxes and they just put 2 boxes in a big box, and then the shipping was outrageous.
Yeah.
Which I guess some people like that actually, and they do that as a default. But if you go to like Zen Market or DE Japan, they actually take the stuff out and make 1 box out of it. So I like DE Japan because there's less fees and whatever. But actually what I'll do is, let's say there's something at the Godzilla store that comes in that I've ordered through DE Japan. Then it's like, okay, well, let me see. Sometimes I'll order stuff through DE Japan from HLJ or Mandarake. And then I ship a bunch of stuff. So you save a little bit on shipping. That's when I'll go and I'll check Mandarake for something up in eyeing, and I'll combine and order that way. So that's just a little tip, save a little on that shipping.
That's a good one, man. That's my problem with Mandarake is I always, at least the last few times that I've bought stuff, I have a horrible habit of forgetting to make sure that like the stuff that I'm ordering is coming from the same
place.
Store.
That's the other thing with if you've got stuff you really want that's at multiple stores. That's kind of a decent way using a proxy service to grab that stuff.
Because second to last time I think I got stuff. I got a Beef Fighter Kabuto mug, like a kid's mug. It's like really itty bitty. I use it as a pen holder. Excuse me. I got some trading cards from Juku Beef Fighter, and I got what did I get? It's something in here.
Sometimes you can get the U.S. toys too on Mandarake pretty cheap for.
You know what? I think that's where I got my Photonomator figure, one of the monsters, loose. It was either that or the Sonic Laser Blaster. I can't remember.
I wouldn't mind getting some of the simple, not very articulated ones of these guys too, because those are pretty cheap.
Yeah, I've got the like mini, not the ones. So these are the little guys that like go in the. Go in the B Commander, and then there's ones that are like 2-inch tall, 2 or 3 inches tall, that were like Gashapon figures almost.
Oh, cool.
And those are real fun. They're right behind my computer.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm got a little bit on the screen. I saw them. They're very cool.
I got these little chibi guys.
Oh, that's cool.
On Mandarake. The chibi guys I have never seen again show up anywhere, and I've had 2 people who worked on the show and 4 people who worked on the show reach out to me and ask where I bought them because they want them.
Yeah.
So I know if I ever want to sell them, I know who to call. But I got the 2 or 3 inch figures and the chibis at the same time, but like one was in I think like Shinzuki, and I think the other one was in like I can't even remember, but they were in 2 different locations, and I paid way too much for shipping, and I was like, that's when we started Zeo, I got one of the kids like Halloween plastic masks of Zeo Ranger 5, and it was like 200 yen. It's like
nothing.
250, right? Like $2.50 or something like that.
Yep.
Converted. But then I paid like $20 shipping.
Yeah.
Like that's the downside of it. Is like every time I look at it, I'm like, damn, like this stuff's so cheap, and I got to remember like, this is the most expensive shipping I'll ever pay. Yeah.
I'm so used to it now. Like the thing is with like the way collecting goes, you're like, damn. Once you bite that bullet. You kind of go, oh, it's not so bad. It's only $20. Last time it was $30.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Sometimes
you
it's
get that bug
slippery
and you
slope.
just keep moving.
Yeah, yeah, I had it for a while, especially with these vinyl Godzillas,
Mm-hmm.
which I still got the bug, but I'm just more selective. Like I'm tired of
Yeah.
buying Godzilla. I have other monsters, but like they're not making enough other monsters. So
Yeah. That's my like big thing is other than Beetleborgs, and even then I'm not buying Beetleborg stuff anymore really. Uh
until Super
I
7 does them. Ooh, come on.
Oh God, man!
One
If
day.
Super Seven or
One
like
day.
Lightning Collection or something does Beetleborg stuff, or anybody does Beetleborg stuff, or even if Premium Bandai spits out B Fighter figures or vinyls or something, I'm probably gonna snag
Vinyls would
them
be cool.
if they're under 200. If they did the machines, um, I can only ever call them the Beetle AVs, the attack
Right.
vehicles. I
Yeah.
don't know what the Beat machines, I think is what they're called in B Fighter.
Yeah.
Uh, at like a Zap style or something like that.
That would be so
I
cool.
think I'd keel over. I'd take
I
a
think we're
second
so
mortgage.
far away from that. Between the people every other day rumoring that the line is getting canceled. It's a fine line between them expanding into those other shows. But I would love if they're gonna do it. I want monsters. I don't want just the Rangers over and over.
Oh, for sure.
I want more like I got the Prontus head right here. They do a great job with with these monsters.
I think they are like the highlights of the line have been
Yeah.
the monsters. Like I mean,
Who am I
like I
missing?
said, I
Who am I
think
missing?
Finster is the best action figure I've bought. That wasn't like a third party figure,
Mm-hmm.
like a third party Transformer or something.
Some
That
of
I
those
bought.
third-party Transformers are really dope. The third-party Beast Wars are really dope.
Yes. I've got him right here. I don't even remember his. I'm trying to remember his actual name. It's a third party. It's a Generation Toys. It's like Generation Toys '02 or something like that.
Okay.
He's Generation Toys Red Bull. Duh.
Ah.
But it's Sideswipe, but he turns into a bull.
Oh, okay.
And there was an art book released a few years back where they took a bunch of G1 Transformers and did like a what if they turned into mechanical animal forms.
Okay. Yes.
So you get the obvious one, Optimus Prime turns into a monkey turns into a gorilla. But then they did like Hot Rod turns into kind of cheetah. And then a different third party company made that figure. And then Generation Toy made the Sideswipe. And I snagged him when he came out. And that's like one of the only. I don't really have a lot of Transformers anymore because I just pivoted away from that when I sold a whole bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I pulled this guy out of my storage closet a while ago when I was cleaning up this room, and I just love him, man. Like he's such a solid figure, and I don't think I spent too much on him. Probably spent a little over 100, but not too bad.
Recently, I saw some third party was doing a pterosaur that was. It was like the same as the Kingdom or whatever line Hasbro does. It's the same figure, but they scaled it up and it was slightly more show accurate. Oh, it was so
it's more
good.
like a masterpiece level.
Yeah, and they weren't
yeah.
expensive, but it's like, okay, well, if I go down this rabbit hole of getting these, I'm gonna call them better Beast Wars Transformers than what Hasbro's doing. But but Hasbro's doing very good with those Beast Wars that they're doing these days, like Tarantulas and Inferno. I think they're very good, but they're a little small. I don't think the scale is exactly right sometimes, and the robot form is all I really care about, being super accurate. The robot form. I think they do a good job with that, though.
Yeah, if they do some Transmetals, I might start throwing some money. Like Transmetal Tarantulas was one of my favorite figures I had as a kid.
Yeah, I have almost anyone that was in the show. I have almost all of those figures, but I know when I bought my house, I did sell some stuff, and I know I started selling some Beast Wars. I know one day I'm gonna go back and rebuy those because I almost had the whole show set. And
that's a kind of another benefit. Like I really want, and this is mostly just because of the comics. I don't even know if it was IDW. It might have been Dreamwave. Still did the earlier Beast Wars comics, but I can't even remember his name because he only appears in the comics and I haven't read him in years. But the Warthog, character Razor Beast.
Yep.
That was his name.
Yep.
I love the look of that character, and
Yeah, they had really
if
cool
they
ones
did a
from the
movie-
comics that they did,
yeah,
like the
like
buffalo.
there's a handful. I mean, I had way too many. I had a bunch of the Japanese Beast Wars figures from Beast Wars 2 and Beast Wars Neo. I had like every dinosaur Beast Wars figure from all of those lines. I had every version of the Triceratops mold that they did, because they reused that mold for years. It used it up
Yeah.
into Armada and Universe and all sorts of stuff for recolors and slight retools.
They gotta do
And
what
I
they
just,
gotta do.
yeah, right. And I went online and just had every version of those, and I sold all that stuff in college. And I've refrained from going back and buying them, but there are a few characters that, like, if they pop up, especially like now that I'm getting back to going to conventions more regularly.
Yeah, that might be the
Like,
spot.
yeah, that'll be the thing. Like I went up to TFCon, first Transformers convention I'd ever been to. Only other specific like fandom convention I'd been to is G-Fest, which is actually hosted at the same hotel
Yeah.
TFCon's at in Chicago. I don't know if you've ever been to G-Fest.
No, maybe one day, but I think at this point, if I'm doing any big travel for something, I'm talking going to Japan.
For sure.
I'm not even. G-Fest would be cool, but I collect these big vinyl Godzillas. You still have to ship that shit home.
Yeah,
so
no, man, you gotta, yeah. That 100% would be more worth it to go to Japan.
Yeah, one day, maybe.
Yeah,
Well,
I've
no,
been to
maybe.
Japan
I definitely
twice.
want to do it.
Same.
It's just when.
It's on. One of my coworkers went last year, and another coworker is going later this year. And it's like they're both single and not homeowners,
Mm-hmm.
so they've got a little bit more funny
There
money
you
than
go.
I do.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe I got to get a job that has an office in Japan again. I had a job that had office
there you go.
in Japan, but it was never on the books to go that way. But maybe one day.
That's my little brother lives out in Hawaii, and part of the reason that he ended up moving out there is when we were kids, my dad had jobs in Japan in Hawaii, for a few years, and so we were there all the time.
Wow.
As a family, and ended up making connections and having friends and family, family friends and stuff over there for years and years. And then he graduated high school and moved over there a couple years later, and he's having a hell of a time now. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like I've talked a few times specifically to my brother about, like, all right, someday we're gonna go out, we're gonna fly, we're gonna stop in Hawaii, we're gonna spend like a weekend with him, and then we're gonna fly over to Japan, because it's easy, it's cheaper to do it that way than trying
sounds good.
to just catch a layover and go over and stuff. But
yeah,
it's in the eventual planning phases of stuff.
Mhm.
It's on the bucket list for sure. But yeah,
we also like play competitive Street Fighter and stuff like that. So
oh, there you go.
I gotta see the arcades, and I gotta touch some buttons there one day.
Yeah,
I gotta go to the Holy Land and press some buttons.
Yeah. If you ever up in the Chicagoland area for anything, Galloping Ghost Arcade,
Yeah.
it's like the world's largest arcade, and my wife and I went up there for when we went up for TFCon and to see family up in the area. We stopped by Galloping Ghost, and it was crazy fun. We spent probably 3 hours there when we first drove into town, and it was just it's overwhelming the amount of cabinets they've got. I
think that's a
specifically
famous
wanted to
one
track
of like
down
in the scene at least.
Yeah, I specifically went. They have a bunch of machines that, like, either they have the only machine of it or the only cabinet, or they have like one of only a few, and they have like the rest are in private collections. And so they have Primal Rage 2.
Wow.
Unreleased sequel to Primal Rage, which
Right.
is my favorite fighting game, is Primal Rage. So
Yeah, that's a classic.
yeah.
Played that on the
tracked
Sega
down
plenty.
all the comics that came out of that
Oh, cool.
that game years ago, and they're some of my holy grails that I haven't had to part with yet for any reason. But
There's plenty of people that want to see a new toy line of that.
yes,
That one gets brought up all the time.
Yeah, But yeah. Galloping Ghost was really fun. I like G Fest. I just like being completely honest. It's not the best con that I've been to. It is an older crowd.
Yeah,
The Godzilla scene in general is kind of an older fandom.
yeah,
Obviously, I mean it's an older property, so it's going to have older fans. Um, it's not like it's hostile, but it's not as entertaining or welcoming if you're bringing someone who isn't entrenched in the fandom.
Okay.
So like my wife is she enjoys the Godzilla movies and stuff. She can't name all the monsters. She hasn't seen all the movies, and she's just not really in the circle. She not she maybe buy a T-shirt or something like that, but so she doesn't really want to sit into listen to a panel about Ishiro Honda's directing techniques or something like that.
I mean, those people that are into it like that, they are into it, and I respect it. Like
for sure.
Some of these guys are so smart, and they have really cool takes on these movies.
Yeah.
And I enjoy all of it, but yeah, I see what you mean.
When I went to G Fest with because I went with the boys. I went with Ryan and Nick the first time, and it was fun. And we had a really good time, and we watched some of the movie screenings and sat through the panels and all that kind of stuff, and hung out in the artist alley. I knew a couple of the artists that were going to be there. And then when I went with my wife, I wore I had made a Godzilla Power Ranger cosplay based on some old fan art from like 2004.
Okay.
So, that was floating around like Deviant Art and stuff like that back in the early 2000s.
Right.
And so I wore that up there, and it was a great time. But it was like, man, I like at the time, like we had been dating for a few years, but it was like I would feel so bad taking her again because like it wasn't her scene, right? Like it was really something that like I wanted to do and wanted to enjoy, and like I love her to death for going through and helping me out with it and hanging out.
Yeah.
But it's not like a larger, we go to Planet Comic-Con here in Kansas City, and like there's gonna be a bunch of stuff that she wants to see there.
Okay.
There's not gonna be a bunch at G Fest.
Right.
But then we went up to TFCon, and she's not a Transformers person. We watched the original '86 movie right before we went, just so she would have some slight familiarity because a lot of the voice actors were going to be there. And other than that, she really doesn't know anything about the franchise. And we went up there, and she had a great time because it's like such a younger audience.
Okay.
And I was in the cosplay contest for that one. I made a punk rock Bombshell, the Insecticon cosplay, and I got third place. But
wow.
That was like a really fun time, and like most of the other people in the cosplay contest were my age or younger.
Okay.
I think like the 5 people that were in my vicinity were under the age of 21, and probably more than half of them were young women.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, that's like neither of those demographics are at G Fest.
Right.
At least not in like, huge numbers.
Right.
And the Transformers community just has like, it's an incredibly like diverse and inclusive community. And not that Godzilla fandom isn't, but it is an older crowd, and it's just maybe not the most welcoming.
Definitely.
To that.
Everyone that I've interacted with online with the Godzilla stuff has been awesome. And some of the people are really nice on Facebook. Sure. And I mean, Facebook seems to be the place where the Godzilla crowd connects more so than Instagram, Twitter, or anything. But it's a pretty good community overall online. I'd say there's like, if you look at like maybe the Turtles community on Facebook, that's not so nice.
Right. Yeah,
but also
community on Facebook can get a little rough too.
I mean, these companies sometimes they just kick you right in the dick with Turtles. Like as good as things are going, like right now with NECA doing their haulathon at Target. Are you familiar with like some of that regular collectibles in stores and things like that? Are you in the know of what turtles are being sold
as I used to?
Okay.
TJ keeps he's a big Turtles guy.
Okay.
And I don't think he's only bought a couple, I think, from the NECA lines, but I know he keeps track of releases because it's always on the back of his mind.
It's just like NECA's just putting out so much. So NECA's doing Toon, movie, and now they're doing comic, and they also did some video game stuff. But this week starts Target's Haulathon, just an event to have a bunch of shit to sell, right?
Yeah.
And it's over the next few weeks. They slowly drip things out, or if you're lucky enough to get to the store and they have the shit you're looking for, it is hundreds of dollars in Toon Turtles alone. And then
That's crazy.
And then it's even more of the comic turtles. Actually, I did find a couple of things. So here's a Toon Rex 1.
Nice.
But not only are the prices increased, because I mean NECA was good with not raising their prices over this, this craziness of everybody raising prices.
Right.
But I guess starting now they really did jump their prices up, and they're gonna release like a dozen things. Plus, there's something on their website that's up for pre-order for the next 3 weeks. It's like that's the downside to like how can you kick us at the same time with one line out of the many comic, Toon, movie. There's obviously not everyone's collecting Toon and comic, not everyone's collecting Toon and movie, but to do one line, hundreds and hundreds of dollars in Toon line, it's just so fucked up. Like,
oh, and that's been a huge thing with the Transformers side too, is that like their baseline, like off the shelf deluxe Transformer, like a deluxe, like I don't know, Hound, Sideswipe, something like that, from like the Siege line or the War for Cybertron line or something like that. You're just gonna walk into Walmart, Target, or whatever, find on the shelf. They're like running up to $30+.
Yeah, just regular, and they're not big.
No, they're not big.
They're
they don't have
probably not even 6 inches.
No, and like
some of them seem small, at least.
Yeah, I get kind of lucky that like most of the characters I like in Transformers that I'm gonna like spend money on are probably obscure, and they're gonna be shelf warmers. What was the guy? Hoist and I keep wanting to say Erector, and that's not his name. Hang on.
You talking about is it a cassette guy?
No. Although I do want a new sound. I do want the new Soundwave and Blaster, but I haven't put the money down.
I did pick up which one had Eject as the clear blue cassette tape?
The blue repaint of
Is it Blaster?
Blaster. Yeah. Twincast.
I forget.
I think is his name.
I only wanted him because the cassette tape was. I like a lot of translucent blue action figures, so
yeah.
I wanted that cassette tape guy because he was translucent blue, and I waited till he was cheap somewhere.
Grapple. That's his name. Hoist and Grapple.
Oh, okay.
They're like the two of the like engineers in the G1 continuity, and Grapple's just like a crane truck and an orange crane truck, and it was just a huge shelf warmer. But I saw it at TFCon and I had to have it, and it was like that made it worth snagging.
Mm-hmm.
And when they've released two. They're doing their what do they call it? Studio series.
Right.
That are
the little guys.
Most of them have been from the '86.
Are they the little ones, or are they a variety of sizes?
Most of the studio series have been like around like deluxe size.
Okay, so it's just
a little bit bigger. So, like the Dinobots they've been doing for studio series are like.
Oh yeah, those are cool.
Size, and they're big, and they usually have a couple accessories, or like a Grimlock came with wheelie.
Yeah, they finally just showed off the last one or something.
Yeah.
Or did he go for pre-order or something?
Yeah, because they've released they've released Slug, Grimlock, and Sludge is out now, and then Snarl, the Stegosaurus, just got announced, and then so the only one left is Swoop.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they've revealed him yet, but then they're also doing Core Class, the little tiny ones.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Core Class
that combine, and they're doing an Ankylosaur. That's not from the original G1. It's like a throwaway character in the comics, like the Dinobot medic. And I'm just gonna get him because I love Ankylosaurs.
And he's like $13. That's not so bad.
Yeah, that's totally worth it. But the studio series Dinobots are like $100 or more, and like there were a bunch of them at TFCon, but they were all like $150.
Yeah.
Like the cheapest one I saw was like $98. I'm like, I can't justify that. Like that's what I'd pay for like a third party.
The The only place that really puts Transformers on sale, I mean, maybe Amazon, but also, I mean, sometimes GameStop, but it seems like GameStop's getting out of the action figure
Yeah.
action.
Target has surprised me with their Transformer sales. They did.
Hmm.
I missed them just barely because it was right around Christmas time, and I couldn't justify the cost for something for myself. But they did a really great sale, like 50% off almost, on a 4-pack of repaint figures from the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line, and it was like a
Oh yeah, I did.
repaint
Yep,
Waspinator, a
yep.
gold bug version of Beetle of a Bumblebee.
And a Dinobot or something.
Yeah, and I think a Dinobot and somebody else. I can't remember who it was. I think it was maybe a Pterosaur repaint.
Yeah, it might have been the other
Laser beam
pterosaur option.
one.
Yeah.
And I think maybe somebody. I think there were 4. And it was like $20 or $25 or something for the 4-pack, and I was like,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
I
I mean,
wanted
that's really
to
good.
snag it. I was just grocery shopping on the Target app, and it popped up. And I was like, holy shit. I can almost justify doing that, and they didn't have it at my store, so I didn't go digging. And they did a re-release of the G1 mold of Devastator, but in Tonka truck yellow and red colors.
Okay.
And it was a Tonka cross. It was Tonkanator or whatever they called it, but it was a Tonka crossover. And that had gone on sale for like $30 or something, and that was another one that if it had been at my store, I would have snagged it.
Yeah.
but
It's
like,
crazy when they'll have like the Transformer that's huge. It's like $120 on the shelf at Target. That's crazy that they even want to put that on the shelf.
Yeah.
Because you hear all this talk like, oh, that they won't be able to put that on the shelf. It's too expensive. And then you go
people
and they have a $120 Transformer there. It's like,
yeah.
Oh,
and
that's pretty. And Lego stuff is expensive. Plenty of Lego stuff is out there.
Oh, dude, I tell myself all the time that like someday I'm gonna get like a bonus, or I'm gonna get stumble into some cash or something, and I'm just gonna go and buy like whatever Lego set I want. We've got a mall nearby that has a Lego store, and there's so many kits that I would love to snag. And I haven't bought a Lego set as an adult. Like it's the one thing I've bought Lego sets for people as gifts. I've bought some of the Lego architecture sets for people. I bought some of the Lego Harry Potter sets for my late father-in-law. And like that stuff was all like I could justify it, and then like I go and I try to get something for myself, and I look at the price. I'm like, I cannot spend $100 for a Lego typewriter.
Ollie's had some. They weren't Lego. They were like Mega whatever. Really not great. Megazords and Dragonzords.
Yeah,
I picked that up. They were like during the holidays, whatever. It was like down to like $15 each. So I grabbed those. I'll probably build them on the stream one time and see how terrible they are, because they do not look good on the box.
That would be fun. That's a fun thing to do on stream. That was
I've got all kinds of kits I need to build.
Yeah, I have such a backlog of like I sat down. Part of my New Year's resolution. I don't know if I'll actually see it through, but I sat down and did it. I feel like that's a step forward. I listed out in like an Excel file all of my ongoing projects, like all the comic scripts that I'm working on that I haven't finished. All the I'm if anybody goes to my Instagram, legit hiccup. Is that my no? That's my Twitter. Casey Camcorder is my Instagram.
Okay.
I'm remodeling. I'm rebuilding a 1974 electric city car, which is the most popular city car. It was the most popular electric car until Tesla came around.
Really?
They sold like 4,000 models from 1974 to 1981. It's basically a street legal golf cart with an ABS plastic body around it.
Wow.
And I got one for dirt cheap. That was like a barn find locally. And I've been slowly taking it apart, putting it back together again with new parts, and upgrading what I need to upgrade. And so I put that down. I've got like a stack of Gundam kits that I haven't built.
Oh yeah.
A while ago, a couple years ago, when we were still doing the podcast, I built a blue Stinger Borg and a red Striker Borg.
Oh yeah, I've
custom
seen those
builds.
pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, like those were real fun. I streamed a little bit of those builds on Twitch, and then I
Oh yeah, I did see
started
that.
a Green Hunter Borg one, and I never finished it. It's done. I just need to paint it. I just haven't done it. It's sitting on my shelf. I just haven't painted it. And then I also have some kits that I'm going to kit bash into a model of Hillhurst to make a diorama for the custom Gundams. I just haven't done it. And I went through beginning of the year and I listed out every project I have, what I need to do to complete it, when I want to complete it. And I'm like slowly starting to kind of chip away at them a little bit at a time. But I feel like making the list was like that one little step forward. And streaming Gundam builds again is like it's one of my higher priorities because
Cool.
I just enjoy it. I don't like, I'm kind of past, after 3 years of Beetle Bros, I'm past the stage of trying to build a following on anything. Like Project Louder is kind of naturally building a following. We don't have to do a ton of promotion for it. We kind of have a built-in audience of around 50,000 that we kind of pull from, but then also add to, right? So like Stronger Than Before already kind of had a built-in audience a little bit, and I can kind of add that up as we do the show. But I'm trying to like low stress content creation. I'm trying to not like, when we were doing Beetle Bros, I got around like the midway point when we started Metallics. I was like, I think we can get sponsors. I think we can like get paid to do this a little bit to like just, enough to like buy new mics or something like that. And I really, really pushed it for like a year, and it stressed me out to all hell. And I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
it's just
tough.
not worth it, man. If I'm not enjoying it, we always said when we were doing the podcast, once it started to feel like a job, we're going to stop.
Yeah. Even me just doing like just this light stream. Like I said, I mean, we used to run tournaments, so maybe there's room for us to do some of that again. Like I do some speed running. I'd stream some of that just to even have it as recorded so I could submit the times and stuff.
Yeah.
And, we play Street Fighter. So if it's just me practicing or whatever, a little bit of that. A lot of gaming stuff. But then for the toy stuff, I was like, I'm just having fun, just chatting with people. And if, we don't have a lot of subscribers or nothing, but if I ask somebody if they would like to come on like yourself and they say yes, then it's all worth it, because all I want to do is talk to like cool people that are doing stuff.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what I'm trying to do more with with Project Louder. And I've got some other podcast ideas in the backlog, an idea my wife and I are working on, some other stuff TJ and I are working on, other comic scripts that are like kind of in various states of completion. We're just waiting to be able to throw money at for the art and stuff. And like, I'm just trying to like go with the flow and not stress myself out too much and be able to do fun projects that I want to. And it's been working. It's been
That's
fun.
cool, man. Yeah, you sound very creative, so that's cool. I'm
I
not
try.
very creative. I just yeah, you got a lot of different things going on, podcasting and writing. That's all. It takes a muscle that I don't have that muscle.
I think the muscle for me is called ADHD.
Oh, sometimes that's the muscle. Yeah.
Yeah. I have that's why I had to list everything out, because I have a habit of like starting 50 different things at a time, and then I end up having so much on my plate that none of them get done.
Yeah. I think I'm a little obsessive compulsive. I think that's my problem. That's why that's why I like
trait. That floats around, man. That's not uncommon in these circles.
That's why I like 20 Hedoras that are the same thing, just in different colors.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. And when you miss that fucking color that you wanted really bad, and you miss that color, it's gone. It's like, well, the day's ruined now.
Yep.
How am I going to get this fucking color? I don't want to have to pay 3 times to get this color.
Right. No, that's it. It's Beetleborgs almost did that to me with like trying to track down, like I wanted I specifically wanted 3 of the Beetle Bonders so that I could have each mode on display for each of the 3 Beetleborgs.
I thought about that for this guy. I didn't do it.
I couldn't have justified it with the new one, but the old ones aren't even that much cheaper.
Wow.
Like if you want to get one that's in good condition, like I have one that's in really good condition. It wasn't in the box or anything. It was in good condition. Came with all 3 of the little minifigures that you put inside. And then I
Wow.
got one that's it. I call my battle damaged one. It's pretty beat up.
Okay.
Looks like someone like torched it. Maybe it survived a house fire or something. And then I have another one that someone custom painted metallic blue.
Okay.
That's just kind of my extra. And then I have the new one. And I went down like crazy rabbit hole trying to snag all of the Beetleborgs toys for a while, and thankfully I gave up because I bought a house, and I was like, I'm not doing this. Can't go down this specific rabbit hole at least for a minute. I gotta hold back for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut back. It's going very slow, but it's going. I'm cutting this, cutting that. And when NECA goes, oh, well, here's hundreds of dollars in Toon Turtles. You like Toon Turtles, don't you? I go, well, you know what? And they're not even like that many main characters left to do. It's all B characters that I like. I really like that they're going deep on the stories. And they're giving you all the characters that were, that ever showed up, even if it's just once. I really, really like that. But when you're going to jam it down my throat at one time, I go, oh, well, maybe this is the line that has to go. So
yeah, and that's like I kind of made an agreement with myself, I guess, with the Lightning collection when characters started coming out that I really enjoyed. I was like, I just can't buy a Ranger because I'll want to complete the team.
Yes.
I got Zeo Red for free, and that didn't count in my brain. But I was like, I cannot buy I like Dino Thunder Black is coming out, and I love that Ranger. But if I buy that, I'm gonna want all the other Dino Thunder.
Yeah.
Rangers. I know myself. I'm gonna want that whole team on the shelf. But I'm gonna buy every Finster that comes out because it's gonna be. Well, so far it's been one figure a year, but that's crazy. We haven't gotten a Finster figure since '94. We're never.
I think Finster's Wave 3 from Super 7.
Yeah.
So that honestly, sometimes with these delays
this year, I think.
If they're lucky. I know sometimes they get delays. Yeah, I mean it's tough for Super 7. They see some delays, but you know what? The figures come out, and I'm usually very happy with them. So
yeah,
for especially I do Turtles and Thundercats from Super 7, and I got Wave 1 of Transformers. That was very cool. That clear
one have Bombshell.
Bombshell, yep.
Yeah. Oh, that one I've almost snagged a few times. Specifically when I did the cosplay, when I was working on it, I almost snagged it.
That Ghost to Starscream though is so good.
Yeah.
It's
they all look because they're so action mastery, and that's such a fun little niche of the figures. Yeah.
Look at that putty, boy.
I love it. Maybe I may tax returns start coming back. Some triggers might get pulled.
Yeah.
Not sure yet. Got a couple other things in the backlog that may need to get purchased, but I am. Yeah.
Well, if you buy from Entertainment Earth, you can always use promo codes of your favorite toy people. They may have a 10% off, like Toy Bro or Preternia.
I always forget to do that. I do forget to do that with podcasts for stuff too. I always forget to use promo codes. They're always around. I'm constantly forgetting to do that.
Ooh, that's a smooth slipcover. That one's not too tight. That's so good.
Of that stuff. That's like a feeding an addiction, right?
Oh, look at the back with the putty guy on the back, straight from the show. That's cool.
Too good. The inclusion of the jerseys and stuff and all those, just all the little accessories have been,
what a deep cut, man. I hope they do the putty that was because there was these putties, but then there was also the putty that was a dark color that was always kind of in the background.
Yeah.
And they were kind of bigger and not smooth. They were more blocky. It was in the Sentai more than you would see in the Power Rangers, but you definitely saw them in Power Rangers sometimes.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to get that one.
For my Finster cosplay, I snagged one of the original 90s putty figures that I'm going to paint like clay. To look like a putty in progress.
Yeah, this is awesome.
That's those are... I've got them saved in carts on a couple different Big Bad Toy Store and Entertainment Earth, I think. The Super 7 putty and one, I think, maybe the 2-pack of Lightning Collection putties. I can't remember. And then the single cog went on sale a little bit ago. Not much. It was like $5 off or something like that. But
Yeah, I got one from GameStop. They were like $11.
yeah,
around Christmas, I think.
yeah. They've popped up a couple different places. They were popping up in Target in the clearance aisle.
Yeah.
Like, around Christmas time, and I never got lucky enough to snag one. But I think I've only ever seen like Zeo Yellow in the clearance aisle around here.
Yeah, I mean the monsters will go on clearance, definitely.
Yeah.
I missed out on Snizzard. I didn't catch him on clearance before he left Targets. I didn't find him.
That was one I almost snagged, mostly just because he was voiced by Bryan Cranston. And I love that.
Yeah. Well, mostly now the next best thing is if it goes on clearance at Amazon. That might be the next best.
Yep. Yeah, it's the other one to keep track of, keep an eye on.
This guy or Deep Discount also. You know, deepdiscount.com.
Yeah.
The site looks very old and outdated, but that is a legit place to buy.
Yeah, they stay updated on stuff. I think TJ snagged a couple of things on there.
When those sales hit, you gotta check out quick.
Yeah,
because they cancel shit on you if they oversell. Because I guess their inventory system's not so great. They'll oversell things.
Yep.
But that's where I get some crazy deals.
I'm trying to think of who I was. I was a Transformer reviewer. I can't remember who it was. It was might have been Few or Optobotomus. I can't remember who it was. But they were talking about they had snagged a couple of different figures from the studio line that had gone on whoever it was, they're up in Canada, and something had happened in a system, I think on Big Bad Toy Store, and it accidentally gave everybody in Canada free shipping and like 20% off.
Wow.
On a whole bunch of different figures.
Wow.
And they fixed it in like an hour, but a bunch of people bought stuff, and they honored the price.
Well, you know what? Something like that happened at GameStop one time also. Actually, I think that's how I got a couple of these Tengas.
Oh, there you go.
Because something happened. There was like $15 off. It was supposed to be a one-time code. If you spend $20 or something, $15 off.
Mm-hmm.
But you could keep using the code or something. And if it was in stock, they didn't cancel the order. So if you tried to pre-order something with that code, yeah, they canceled those. But there were several items that were in stock, like these Tengas. I think I got 2 Tengas for like $7 shipped or something.
Oh, nice.
Something crazy.
That's the stuff I try to keep an eye on. I used to have a buddy that worked at a GameStop and would shoot everybody a group message whenever sales like that would pop up. I know a couple guys that got some of the Kamen Rider SH Figuarts on like a super sale because of his heads up, and somebody got the whatever, either Lightning Collection or whatever it was that did the Power Sword.
Oh yeah, the Red Ranger
Power
sword,
and maybe the Pink Ranger helmet or the White Ranger helmet. It was one of those recent helmets they popped out a year or two ago, and somebody was like, yeah, they got like the White Ranger helmet for like $25 or something.
That's a good deal.
Some clearance error. It accidentally got put on clearance when it was supposed to be like the White Ranger action figure, but they put in the wrong code.
I hope they do the Master Morpher is the rumor right now. I
know that's what I've been hearing. I'm figuring maybe it's connected to the 30th anniversary, but
right.
You know, not gonna get my hopes up for anything. Especially, you know, I don't super plan on snagging anything like that just yet, but I never know. I wasn't expecting to buy 2 Finster figures in this fandom.
Yeah, I don't have a Morpher. I need a Morpher. And they keep just doing like a pink and a yellow. Like, I don't want a pink and a yellow.
Yeah, that's what I have, an original 90s Morpher with no coins. And then I have the first re-release they did, whatever that line was called, that Legacy. I have that one, but it was rusted. And only had like 2 coins. I think it had the the saber-tooth tiger and triceratops.
Okay.
And I 3D printed a Zeo Red coin.
Oh, cool.
And that's I pulled that out of storage when I pulled out some other Transformers stuff, and I've been trying to repair the rust damage, which has been fun.
Yeah.
But the challenge of die-cast.
That's what's cool about the Super 7. The Zords come with those coins, so
yeah,
that's kind of nice. This is dope. It's got a nice weight to it. It feels a little plasticky. For the price, you think maybe a little more heft to it, but it's pretty good.
It's a great scale. I was really surprised.
Yeah, this seems pretty.
I mean, I was surprised with the original ones when I got the 90s version. I was like, damn, this is no wonder they had to color this pink and purple. Like, this is the size of the handgun.
Oh yeah,
it's an adult human's hand.
Back. Yeah, this isn't a joke.
This is so one. Clean.
This might be questionable if it even is allowed to ship from overseas. I don't know.
Oh, for sure, right? Like no orange tip on there. I was surprised it didn't at least have a removable thing.
Maybe they don't do that out there. I don't know.
Maybe the dial keys on the side. They were like, nah, it'll be fine.
They'll know.
Yeah.
No one gets shot in the back wearing a hoodie.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. That's the that is a downside. But yeah, man, I almost pulled the trigger on that on Toku Lectables a little while ago.
It might still be on Hobby Genki. I'm not sure. Hobby Genki tends to have a lot of those Bandai premium Bandai stuff for a little bit. Some stuff, not everything, but some stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where the batteries go on this thing.
The Kabuto changer, the data bonder. I almost snagged that only because they have the Astral Borg coin or not coins. That was America. Little chip, the cards, and the red cover for it.
Yeah.
And I almost snagged it just because of that, and I just couldn't justify the price tag when I saw it.
Yeah, it is a pricier one. I mean, I don't think this was too bad, especially with this came out for pre-order when the yen was still really weak.
Yeah.
So when I ordered it was pretty good price.
When I saw it for pre-order, I almost snagged it because a bunch of people were sending it to me, and then by the time the other bonder came out, it was already. I mean, it was back to like even pre-order. It was like $210, I think. Oof, bit steep for what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Right now, I'm like, I want to support it because I want to get the figures. Okay, you did all the props that we're gonna get, unless they're gonna do like helmets, I guess. But even helmets, it's like, let's do figures.
Yeah, I've thought about getting some of like the shirts and stuff that they've done, just so that I can still be ordering from the B-Fighter brand and try to get some stuff, because when I can't justify the larger expenses, I can get a T-shirt or the little logo stands or something like that.
Oh yeah, I do have that one too.
Yeah, like those kind of things are fun, and it's I am glad that they're releasing more than just the big price items, like releasing some unique T-shirts and stuff like that been really been, I mean, from 1998 to whatever last year or the year before when they started releasing B-Fighter, I think the Beetle Bros were the only people putting out B-Fighter adjacent merch for a while. So that it was nice to see. Nice to see some of that stuff pop up.
These companies aren't scared to cut deep right now. They put out this Sentinel put out this Centurion figure.
Yeah,
he is amazing. Amazing.
Incredibly impressed. A couple people in the Transformers community have been talking about, like, we've been eating good lately as fans. Like, they're getting some deep cuts, even like some repaints, specifically in Transformers. Man. They did the Velocitron 500 or whatever they called it, but it was like a subcategory of deluxe figures they were releasing that were mostly recolors and retoolings of War for Cybertron and Siege and Studio Series figures, and they've released, I think, 2 at this point that are GoBot characters
Oh,
that
okay.
are retoolings of Transformers toys to be
Wow.
GoBot characters because Hasbro owns the GoBots and has for
Wow.
years now. And until then, the only thing they've used them for has been gag characters to kill off in the comics. Uh,
Okay.
there's a running gag of having characters kill Psykill, the main villain from GoBots in the
Okay.
Transformers comics, and now all of a sudden we're getting recolor figures popping up on on a regular shelf of
Amazing.
a few different characters, and it's like, yeah, that's fun. Like that wasn't happening 10, 20 years ago.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
getting these kind of callbacks to stuff and showing up on a main line. It's like, this is going to show up at Target. I don't need to necessarily pre-order or go through a collector specific site to snag this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sure, the prices are going up to collector level prices. Like you're gonna spend $35 on it, but so is everybody. So is grandma buying a toy for her kid for Christmas. Like
Yeah.
and that's kind of
Yeah.
the nice. It's been fun, especially with like the Playmates Godzilla stuff popping up. That like,
And it's
uh,
not
it's
even
more
$20. It's $15, $16 some of those.
right. Yeah, like some of that stuff popping up, and like, at the end of the day, it makes more people aware of the properties and stuff. And I think with B Fighter, it's been really fun to see, like collectors and other people talking about getting the B Fighter stuff and wanting to get more. And like, where do I find? I think Mega Beast Empire just finished fan subbing all of B Fighter Kabuto.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of Juku B Fighter has been fan subbed already.
Wow.
So like, they've been kind of like sharing those around, or trying to get the word out about those, because people now want to watch the show that these things are coming from.
Yeah.
And there's like 2 episodes of each season available on Toei Tokusatsu World on YouTube.
Yeah. I wish they would do more.
VPN to a country that didn't air Beetleborgs, because you can't watch B Fighter in the US because technically Hasbro owns that licensing deal for Beetleborgs. So any show that was adapted and isn't on like Shout Factory you can't watch it on the US if your VPN or if your IP is showing up as US on Toei's channel.
Okay.
But yeah, if you VPN to like China or I don't know, somewhere in Europe probably,
Okay.
you can watch the first 2 episodes of Juku Fighter, and they have subtitles.
Oh.
Like that's when we watched the first episode of Juku Fighter and the first episode of B Fighter Kabuto for the podcast. That's how we watched it.
Okay.
The semi-legitimate way, I guess, to watch it. About the only legitimate way that you can.
And Premium Bandai Japan, you can't get to the Japanese Premium Bandai site from the US anymore. This is
no, yeah, you have to VPN.
I haven't checked recently, but it started like December 2021. Yeah,
Yep.
You had to use a VPN to go to Japan to get to the Japanese website. Why would you want to go to the Japanese website? Well, they don't sell all that shit here that they sell on the Japanese site. So if you wanted to get a link to a thing to put in your proxy website to order the thing, you need the VPN to Japan to get the link to be able to go to the website to buy, like, for example, here's the Mini Pla, my other score, the Mini Pla. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Brain going slow.
Titanus? What is his name?
Yes. Yeah. Titanus.
Titanus. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's another model kit. Put it on the list.
Yeah.
And I really wanted that because I saw the guys that do the amazing airbrushing and all that did this model kit, and they made the water slides to do the symbol on his chest and all. Oh, it's so cool. Hey, I didn't mean to hold you up so late. I know you had a stop at some point. I didn't mean to.
Oh no, you're completely good, man. Actually, I mean, like, this has been incredibly fun. I am gonna jump off if
Yeah.
if you're cool with it. But
No, I'm completely
thank you
fine.
so
I didn't
much
realize
for
it was
being here
almost
to chat.
midnight already.
No, you're good, man. It's been fun. Yeah, my call with my brother got put off for a little bit, so
Hey, man. I'm
we've
sorry
been
about
clear. But
that. No.
it's fun, man. This has been a great time to chat. I haven't talked with anybody outside of my usual little circle for a while because with Beetle Bros dying down and stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, I
Really
just
cool.
want to say thank you for the great content. It's definitely, as someone who is listening every week, it's awesome. Your new podcast is very good. I like that you're watching it, and it's kind of different from Beetleborgs where you're recapping it. This is you guys watching it and giving insight on what's how they did things or information. I love it. So far, it's been really, really good. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on, chatting with me. You're welcome anytime to come back if you're interested. Please feel free to hang out. We'll talk news. We'll do whatever. If they're dropping pre-orders for more B-Fighter figures, let's go.
Hell
All
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I'll bring TJ with me next time. We'll talk turtles.
Oh, we could talk turtles. I talk turtles regularly over here too.
Yeah.
Especially turtle collectibles. Especially, I'm not caught up on a lot of the all the shows because there's many shows, and actually they just came out with a new show on Netflix, a new movie on Netflix. I didn't watch it yet.
Oh, you got to.
I gotta watch that.
You gotta watch it. Yeah, you watch the show and the movie. It's very different from the traditional stuff, but
I heard it was good.
The
though.
animation alone is it's beautiful, and the movie it's gut wrenching, man. It's got some really heartfelt moments in there.
Wow, cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I've been meaning to watch that. It's on the list of many things.
Yeah, hell yeah. But yeah, man, thank you so much. And yeah, if anybody wants to tune in, Big Bad Beetle Bros is the entire catalog is out there. You can head over to projectlouder.com and huge catalog of a bunch of different podcasts if you're into movie reviews, ghost hunting, prop building, Toku stuff. We've got Beetle Bros, and now we've got Stronger Than Before, which is our Zeo watch along podcast. I'm really glad that you like the formula that we're running with for Stronger Than Before, because doing the kind of watch along now that all of those seasons are on YouTube has been a really fun kind of way to switch it up, and we've gotten some really good feedback on that, and it's felt good because it was kind of a really different way to do it, and I think it worked. So I'm glad.
Good.
But
I agree.
Yeah, man, and,
I like it.
We'll definitely get together again and hang out.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for
sure.
watching. Thanks for the likes. We got likes tonight. We got viewers. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thanks again, Cam. You have a good night. I'm gonna stop the stream. Take it